気持ち悪いのをやってるのは勝手にやってればいいだけで、僕はこの自分たちの仕事をつなげたいとは全然思いません。極めて何か生命に対する侮辱を感じます。地球最後の日が近いですね。人間の方が死がなかったから。
Welcome back to the Conspiracy Meta with DisillusionDruid. This week, crossing the Uncanny Valley.
The world has changed, and some things that should not have been forgotten were lost. But the Ring of Power has a will of its own.
Evil is stirring in Mordor. The ring has awoken. Sauron needs only this ring to cover all the lands of darkness.
Let's start out taking a look at what's happening on the other side of paradise here. Unprecedented peace as China, Japan, and South Korea posture for the first time in my life to form an ephemeral alliance over nothing. Perhaps just a reminder that the New World Order will contain 50% East Asians due to their generationally conditioned obeisance to government. I'm not sure what this press junket was about other than optics, because in the meantime, China is considering sending what they call a coalition of willing soldiers to the Ukraine front, as peace talks are supposed to be happening ASAP, or at least as soon as possible, starting 5 weeks ago. And speaking of Ukraine, Time posted this strange cover of Zelensky and the Endgame. That's where we are. We're at the Endgame. In complete coincidence, Marvel's Avengers Endgame came out on April 26, 2019, which April 26th this year will be the 40th anniversary of the Chernobyl nuclear meltdown. And with Trump's talk of Ukraine nuclear and Time magazine a known comms agent for the Skull and Bones, well, something smells like fish. Russia and Ukraine have allegedly agreed to a marine ceasefire and a ban on energy attacks. What the fuck? But considering China's pending coalition for the front line, China threatening to cut deep-sea internet cables of their enemies, and U.S. House Representative of Pennsylvania, Brian Fitzpatrick, introducing Joint Resolution 77, wherein Ukraine's borders shall return to how they were in 1991, which includes Crimea, I don't think Russia will be signing any peace treaties anytime soon. Can we get some polymarket odds on Russia gaining back Crimea via peace treaty? I don't think they're good. But speaking of international diplomacy odds, who had the Republicans pulling a Hillary Clinton email scandal on their scorecard? Scandal broke out in Trump's administration as the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic was negligently included in a private signal chat including Pete Hegseth, J.D. Vance, and Mike Waltz, among others discussing classified secret and above war strategies regarding Ukraine, Israel, and Yemen. Ate up a whole news cycle, but damn, what a boring rerun. As if this wasn't perfectly timed to Elon's DoD briefing scandal last week. But speaking of Hillary and Trump revoked Hillary Clinton's access to classified information. Not sure why she had it to begin with. Trump also rescinded Biden's pardons for a list of Trump's usual political enemies. Notably missing from the list was Hunter Biden's business partner, who Trump pardoned, and Obama. So I guess they're both chill now. To add insult to injury with Hillary, Trump also ordered the DOJ to declassify the FBI's investigation into Hillary's claims of Russian collusion with Trump. Probably why Chris Wray ended up resigning. But stretching all suspension of disbelief and conspiracies, coincidentally, the same week Trump orders the Russiagate files declassified, Jessica Aber, a federal attorney tasked with investigating CIA leaks and Russian fraud, was found dead in her apartment of natural causes. From 2 shots to the back of the head, natural causes maybe for her line of work. I don't think anything can stop the Trump train, however, as he continues to set his sights on Greenland, continues to boost tariffs, this time 25% on all foreign-made cars, and severing America's ties with Canada, quote, for good. He intends to disrupt the market with crony favoritism, however, by managing to get Hyundai to start manufacturing somewhere in Louisiana, probably not too far from Elon's XAI facility in Memphis. And with the DOJ officially recognizing Tesla sabotage as an act of terrorism, it's going to be hard for Elon's insurance company to deny the claims on scrapping his entire beta testing model for the Cybertruck. Convenient how that works. Read as insurance fraud, not the Nazis did this to me. But speaking of Trump and the Nazis, Indiana Jones movies are coming to life as a document declassified in 2000 resurfaced this week of the Ark of the Covenant being psychically located in the Middle East. There's a load of malarkey, however, although the truth might be too incredulous to believe. It is the express opinion of this podcast that the CIA document's a load of bull, but the Ark of the Covenant has been found and is located underneath Glastonbury Tor. Rolf de Soudelet, one of the first Knights Templar, found the Ark of the Covenant hidden in Petra, a little Indiana Jones mislead there, during the First Crusades in the 1180s and brought it back to Britannia. It's housed in a Masonic replica of Solomon's Temple with the intent to enact a ritual to kill the Abrahamic God. But don't take my word for it. Go track down the Armageddon conspiracy if those guys haven't all but disappeared. It's of note that a replica of the Ark of the Covenant is in Trump Tower, and the Ark of the Covenant is one of the Illuminati cards. They want to reframe our history, our past, our beliefs, all to fit a Gnostic transhumanist definition. And that's about it. As if secret ancient artifacts wasn't enough, the JFK files continue to reframe our view of the past. Now that Terrapin Quest is back online, go follow him. One of the first things he shared was JFK's connection to Moroccan royalty, with not only JFK brokering deals for phosphate control aligning with Morocco in 1963, but also apparently Jackie Kennedy's lineage could be traced back to Moroccan royalty as well. Everyone's looking at Israel these days, but hey, Netanyahu's deferential to King Mohammed VI if you weren't paying attention. Remember last week we covered how even Epstein ties to Morocco. So, Ben, maybe that's why it matters who shot JFK. But speaking of Epstein and friends, that brings us to the meat of the matter this week. Back to the Epstein Black Book. Roping in JFK and CIA plots to assassinate world leaders. First up, Victor Arellano. Unclear if it's senior or junior, of the Bacardi Cuban rum family empire. Victor Arellano is a descendant of the Bacardi founder through Don Facundo Bacardi Mazzo's daughter, Malio de Chuk, which coincidentally means Black Rock. Bacardi is the largest privately held alcohol company in the world, which means zero accountability to public investors. And fun fact, they were actually accused of bankrolling a CIA plot to assassinate Castro back in JFK's day. I think we've seen all we need to see here. Next up, Spain's back on the timeline with Spanish Duque de Aragon, or Joaquin Fernandez de Cordova y Hohenlohe Langenberg, 10th Duke of Aragon. I had to sort through maybe 24 fake online profiles trying to impersonate this guy. Reminded me of the Duke and the Lost Dauphin in Huckleberry Finn, two grifters and some classic American social engineering cons. Anyways, I narrowed in on this guy, obviously royalty, ties to Boston University, and in charge of a bunch of vague financial shell corporations like Ecor International LLC, an oil company in Houston, or Concat Capital, a, quote, boutique and discreet market entry and innovative financial engineering company. Whatever the heck that means. They say they make strategic alliances in the Middle East. But most notably is his glassware Arion 1725, sold by Swarovski Crystal, an Austrian, Rita's former Nazi, crystal company that not only worked with Golden Age Hollywood adorning people in jewelry and sets in crystal, but also sponsored the crystal and glassware for many a Nazi regalia. They also put the star on the Rockefeller Plaza Christmas tree and partner with another Epstein client, Les Wexner, in his various modeling and fashion companies' marketing campaigns. If it weren't enough, the Duke also played a major part in controlling global trade for Spain and Europe during COVID. Moving on, the Duke's brother, Fernando Fernandez de Cordova de Aragon, seems like, he's not as public-facing as the brother who claims the title. He's up to more work behind the scenes, particularly on the banking finance side. He worked at J.P. Morgan in New York City, likely at the same time and the same location as Jeffrey himself, as well as Merrill Lynch, two of the clandestine services laundromats. Founder of Capital Volution, board member for Ispatec Agrointeligencia, an analytics software developer for Spanish food and ag companies. Remember how there's an American olive tree farm scandal developing in southern Spain? He's also a founding partner of Bionat Industrial, another big ag chemical company. And as I believe Terrapin Quest mentioned to me, are these agriculture companies perchance selling phosphate? Next up is a little uncertain, Arthur Armstrong, likely the executive director of DeBevoise and Plimpton, a Manhattan law firm that helped the Democratic Party prosecute Trump for his second impeachment trial. I mean, I'm just guessing here. Armstrong has ties to Purdue Pharma, defended Rockstar Games against Lindsay Lohan, claiming they illegally used her image in GTA 5, and he has work connections to the current DOJ Inspector General of the United States, Michael Horowitz. Is Horowitz supposed to investigate the firm that made his career if he does investigate Epstein? Is that a conflict of interest? Armstrong also worked for McKinsey & Company Consulting, which is likely how he met Epstein, as they also have close ties to Harvard Business School. McKinsey & Company was the company that promoted and marketed OxyContin initially, leading ultimately to America's opioid crisis. So there's that. Hervé Aaron, a fancy French art director who was educated in art history at the Sorbonne. If there was a museum exhibit dedicated to the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant, this guy would likely be one of the people to lay his hands on the artifacts. That's the kind of clout he seems to carry. He was president of the Syndicat National des Antiquaires. I think that was a Napoleon established Smithsonian equivalent. The man currently resides in New York City running his own art curation business where he dresses museums like the Getty, the National Gallery in D.C., the Met in New York, and the National Gallery in London, setting up the main exhibits. What's he doing in the Black Book? And is art dealing a form of money laundering, or was Jeffrey up to something even more esoteric like collecting or smuggling legendary artifacts for secret satanic cults? Speaking of art dealers and secret satanic cults, someone asked ChatGPT to take a selfie and finally reveal its face, only for the Uncanny Valley to sear this demonic image into our minds. 12 fingers and gray skin resembling Aleister Crowley's channeled demon friend Lamb, it's no wonder people think computers just open portals for demons. But if that were the only AI image news this week, humanity might stand a chance. Unfortunately, both ChatGPT and Elon released AI image editing to the world, with the former coining the phrase vibe marketing as Miyazaki memes of iconic images flooded your feed this week, and with Musk opening Pandora's box finally, as all of Twitter can now create 5-second deepfake images. Couple that with H&M, who, believe it or not, also has ties to Epstein, who released digital twins of their models to be leased for marketing. What a time to be alive. It's so over. But remember, within every it's so over, there's an unshakable we're so back. Hold the line, folks, as we cross back into the future here. As if that weren't enough, Microsoft has teamed up with a Swiss startup to figure out how to accurately simulate the human brain in a computer using AI, while researchers at the University of Sussex have determined how to create tangible 3D holograms by projecting sound waves onto dust particles to create 3D models you can even smell now. I'm sure it's a coincidence news of this broke the same week that a blue spiral, supposedly generated by SpaceX rocket fuel, appeared in the sky, prompting Project Bluebeam scares once again. Technology. To end with a banger, 23andMe has now filed for bankruptcy, leaving millions of people's genetic information up for grabs for the highest bidder. Can't make this stuff up. That's it for this week. I say enjoy the memes and the kaleidoscopes in the sky for now, because soon you're not going to be able to log on to the internet without proving you're a real government-registered citizen of the world surveillance state. Deepfakes will multiply here exponentially now, and it won't be long before people don't believe what they see unless it's got a blue check beside it. I mean, it's already the case, though, and it's still just as fake as the news that broke that for the past few years, independent journalists and influencers on both sides of the aisle have been merely repeating talking points fed to them by their sponsors, generating a completely inauthentic political fantasy world online. Oh well, it's not like I've only been saying that since I started this account. Until next time, truthers, keep seeking and stay vigilant. Tipping point is near.